Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, in this occasion, this opportunity, I'm gonna explain an article with the title "Language Acquisition by the Children: A Case Study of Early Child Language Acquisition Age 2 to 3 years old." My name is Ridho Wahyudi, and this article was written by Indrawati. So let's go. So people started to acquire and use language if they have been in infancy, right? But they do not use the language very well, and then they often do some mistakes while pronunciate a word. They are at the age between 2 to 3 years old, and also it is a common thing that happen to them that occur on them while pronunciate a word. As an observer, the writer has chosen age around 2 to 3 years old as the best age for children in acquiring the language as the first language acquisition. This is the research question of this article. The first one is, how do the children in age 2.5 years old acquire language at the phonology and at the vocabulary level, and the difference between one child and another in acquiring the language? And the second one is, how close emotional relationships shown between children and their mothers through acquiring language. The previous study, actually, there are a lot of previous study related to this topic, but this is the most related one. Sharon 2009, the students of English Department of Taiwan University wrote about children's ability to learn English basic vocabulary as second language. A case study at Brainy College said that children's ability to get English as second language is quite different from adults. Oh, that's interesting. And the difference could be the process of acquiring, understanding, and using the language itself. And then the first language acquisition. Children imitate. So for first language acquisition, children imitate the sound and patterns which they hear around them. The child makes adult as his model, and then they imitate him. They attempt to be like adult in speaking, in order to obtain this reward. They try to repeat the sound and patterns so that this become habits. So that's how they know a language. For the second language acquisition, the second language acquisition occurs when a person obtains a language after mastering the first language, or the process of developing one skill in a second language or foreign language. So they have to master the first language before acquiring, try to try to learn the second language. Different from the first language, this is the second language commonly acquired consciously. That is through language learning. So it is totally different from first language, where first language they can just like imitate from people around them, from adult like that. Well, for the second language, they have to learn the language itself. And then the process of collecting data in this article, the researcher collect the data through two different sources, oral and also written sources. The written one is through library research, and the oral through observations, interview, recording. So it is the finding and discussion. As you can see, the data has been tabulated by the researcher. You can see some words here. That is word that is being uh, asked to the children to spell, and it is the explanation. So the table shows that child A still has low capability to spell these words. She just makes two correct spelling in this tense words. She can only spell words mana and pulang. So except mana and pulang, she's pronounced it incorrect. While different from child B, child B spells the word in this test better than child A. She only makes 8 mistakes in spelling words. Her mistakes are balu, panasi, gelasi, syama, pakai, pelmen, hijau, and nyuci. As you can see here, pelmen is actually the word permen. It's used the word R, not L. So maybe because of her yeah, her pronunciation is not that good. So it's she did mistake on it. And for the child, she also has a good spelling performance in this pronoun test word. He has only three mistaken in this test, one level above of the child B. His mistakes are di mana, kita, and ijo. The change of phonemes in and to the M, removal letter H on the word hitam to be hitam and hijau to be hijau. Also initial AO to be O, hijau to be hijau. And then child D has five correct spellings. They are baju, di mana, mana, lagi, and kado. There are similar mistaken phoneme between child A and child D in this test, but child D also make different spelling in words. For example, phoneme K to be T on the word bukan to be butan. And then for the meanwhile in this test and conversations, child E is the highest get the highest point as he has mastered all the words that given by the written spelled well. So each child commonly made a mistake of pronunciation when they learn to speak. These errors are usually shape errors of sounds caused by the presence of technical obstacle when place and manner to articulate the word result articulation that are not perfect. So it is common to happen and it occurs on the children because they are still not able to pronounce it well because maybe their lip or their tongue can't do it well to pronounce the word that they want to speak up. So the environment also influence the capability of the children in speaking and pronunciation the word. So the child A was influenced by the environmental that she lived. In daily activities, child A also use Makassar accent to communicate with others, especially her mother. Accent is very thick in Makassar, so that affect the way the child A to speak, and then that makes him to not not use to Indonesian language. It's much more to that he much more know he much know about the Makassar language. While for the second child B's vocabulary acquisition is greatly influenced by the environment in which she is located. She is live she lives in the environment that is very thick accent of Makassar. So that is also the same with the child A. Child C live in monocultural family. Both of his parents are Japanese. They are using Indonesian to communicate each other at home, but Java dialect is very often hearing in this family. So that's they still use Indonesian language to communicate. So that the child C able to pronounce the word correctly. For the child D also has monocultural parents, Ambons, and communicates they are using Indonesian Makassar dialect, but sometimes they use Ambon dialect to communicate. For example, to utter, saya, I'm to be beta in Ambon language. And for the last, child D has multicultural parents, Bugis and Butonis. But in daily conversation, they are using Indonesian to communicate each other. And also, Charlie has studied in playground school so that he get the language test is easier to him because they already learn language. Maybe learn some easy language for a daily conversation from the teacher so that he got a higher score in the test. In conclusion, phonological acquisition by children at the age of 2 to 3 years old seems similar with children in general. For some children, if there are some word in conversation that's spoken quickly, the pronunciation will change because they are not able, there maybe their lip or the sound that is not match their desire. Besides that, in acquiring the language, phonological process also affect the acquiring. At the age of 2 to 3 years, Oh, all the children already pronounce vowel letters perfectly than consonant letter because consonant letter is difficult to utter than vowel letter. But there is also consonant letter that is almost for every children easy able to speak it. That is B and B. That is the bilabial. Yeah, that's bilabial, and it is easy for them to pronounce it. Even though I don't know, but I think it's of course it is hard for them. It is difficult for them to pronounce other consonant letter. And also, as we can see from the my explanation before in this article, close relationship between children and their mother also affect children's language acquisition. All right, maybe that's all for me. I hope that it's clear before so that you can understand it well. But that, that's all. Okay, thank you for your attention. Thank you so much.